Hello, I wanted to come and record another dream that God had given me that I didn't realize that was a dream from Him. Though when I had the dream, I understood that there was a message there's something very significant about that dream that um, I didn't understand what it meant to a full degree, but I definitely left me in question whether it was God giving me this dream. It's been a year since God had given me this dream, and I decided to take within the last couple weeks to search for God about that dream because I don't want to keep a dream when it's a message for me and for other followers of His, other Christians to hear this message. This dream I come to understand after talking to God and asking Him why the dream felt so constricted and why the light was coming from the sky inside the building and there was no exits. And I started to understand that the feeling that I had as I walked inside closer to the center of the dream, of the location, I understood that society had collapsed. And it was like society had collapsed and nothing was what it seemed before. And sorry, I'm trying my best to remember back to the dream to better describe it. So I had an understanding that society had collapsed, like everything, society as we knew it had collapsed, and there was no more, it felt like we were in exactly what it is, an apocalyptic time period. It was a time, and it reminds me of the movies that I had seen in the past where they are scary and they resemble the apocalypse, like the end times. And that's exactly what it made me understand in my spirit, even though I was inside like a building structure that was abandoned, and it was square shaped, and there was no exits. There was no way of getting out, and what I was seeing, the light from the sky peering down, and it was white, and it was compared to the building structure, compared to the the color of the buildings, the feeling of that time. Compared to that, it's like this the sky was white, and it was hope, and it's light. It's I don't know how to not like the light from a light bulb, but light of life. And the only way out is to go up. Okay. So in my dream, I'm stepping forward physically in my dream. I'm aware that I'm there, and I'm not just witnessing things, so to speak, from just sight. And so I take a step forward, and it doesn't make sense. I'm not understanding it, and I'm not taking it serious right away. That what I'm looking at is a woman who is on a small stage, and it's only the stage is lifting her up, and this woman has a camera filming her, but I can't remember if it was like, it wasn't a phone camera, it was like, it was just recording camera, and there were like these flat screen TVs, and they were like, that was being projected, what the camera was recording on her was being displayed on the flat screen TVs. And she had these long barbed wires going through her arm, and I believe it was her right arm. And at first when I looked at that, where I just like I just took a glimpse of it very quickly, but I understood for 1 second that it was serious, but at the same time I was talking to the Holy Spirit, and I said, well, this is just contemporary art, I can't take this serious. But something, and after I said that, the Holy Spirit, he did something that made me like do a double take, but more serious, and take a step forward towards the woman. And as I really looked in, that's when I started to observe that this was not art. This was not art. This was not something to be taken very lightly. In fact, it was very, I was very scary and like gory. It was very, I had never seen how real like torture looked like, because that's what I was seeing. And the barbed wires that were running through the woman's arm were maybe about a foot long, and I was seeing the barbed wire through the woman's flesh, and she was in pain, and she didn't see me. We didn't make any eye contact, but she's just in pain and like agonizing what she was going through. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, that's so wicked. That's so weird. They're recording this, and then they have it on the flat screen TV. Like, I was like, this is some tormented, like, dark, evil stuff that, like, I have an understanding there is in the world, like masochism and all that, like torture, and but this was like much worse. Like, this was on a different level. And God showed me that that woman is the church of Christ. That's us. I'm not saying I don't know if we're gonna be the ones tortured, but that's who that woman represented there, and that we were gonna be on TV, and it's gonna, our torment and our suffering will be shown on screen and recorded. And this reminded me back in 2017 about the elder Sadhu Sudar Sajab, and I've mentioned him before when I heard about the second civil war coming to the United States. He mentioned that many of the killings of Christians would be done on TV. They would be public and shown on TV channels on TV, like the killings of the jihadist Muslims in of the prisoners, that they were on the beach shores, and they were in the orange attire, and they were, like the jihadists were all in black and covering their face, but the gentlemen, our brothers in Christ, were on their knees, and they were all praying, and they beheaded them. I've only seen a bit of it, and I got to watch a little bit more about what their wives had to say about the men that had been martyred and killed. But they're in a better place, and that's what it reminded me of in my dream. So as I look, so I see this woman, and like I stated in the beginning, there was like, it's like a building that was square shaped, and in the middle, inside of the center of the building, there's there's no roof, so the light of God and life and escape and hope is still from above coming, and the only way out is to die and go to him. That's the only way out, because I could not find an exit. There was no, like, there is just like, it made me think of like, I watched, when I was younger, I would watch my cousins play like these video games. I think it was called Call of Duty, but there were these games where they had where the Russians, I think it was in the Cold War, they would have these torture places, and also, what's his name, Che Guevara, I can't remember the name, but there were these places where they would take prisoners and people and kill them there, and even the citizens, I guess, you know, they would kill them and torture them there. It starts with a G, I can't remember the word. Goulash, that's what it reminded me of. Goulash is that, like, that type of structure, and like, there's no life there. So as I looked at the woman, and after observing her and just taking in, and in, like, in fear and shock, and just, I don't, like, it's something in me that made me like, you know, like, wow, like, it's just like, not wow, like, this is amazing, but like this is real. Of seeing the flesh of the woman have the barbed wires go through her. I look to the left, and I see a group of people. They're adults, maybe in their like 20s, maybe 30s, and this is like maybe a group of 5 people or so, and they're not aware of me, but I'm aware of them, and you know, I feel like I start to be part of that dream, and I start to feel like I want to get out. I don't want to be here too. And so I started to follow them. But then again, once again, they didn't talk to me. They didn't say anything to me. But then they started walking like to the left of my side, and then they tried walking through halls that were very big, and there was darkness. There was like a darkness, but people were still trying to walk as a group, trying to find. That's what I understood from seeing them from the first time, is like, they're not realizing that it's the end. They know that that like society has collapsed, but they're still trying to fight it, and like trying to find some sense of like of the reality that we once knew, like we have right now. So I end up following them, and we're going through halls, and like these big halls, but they feel like it's almost like underground tunnels, except they're not circular like a tunnel would be. And we end up finding in the dark like the cargo. If you've ever seen a cargo ship, they have those containers. So they end up finding that, and they open it, and we all go inside, and the inside is of a person's apartment, like a condo loft or something, but the walls are brick, and it's like it has a coffee table on the floor. There's a guitar, and I understand that as we go in, this is a time period where I understood that it was a time period where things appeared to be like normal, and like everything was fine. Like, we didn't think about death or chaos. Like, yeah, like of human trafficking, of people killing themselves, like killing one another, I guess to the point where we are now. And like we didn't, there was a time period like maybe back in the 90s and the early 2000s. I guess you can say we were like kind of very asleep, or in like a time period where, like, I guess you can say bliss. We were living kind of blissfully, or I think what it is, like, there wasn't as much darkness on earth as it is compared now in the times that we live in 2025, where that's coming to an end in a couple days. So they find this living room, and I'm walking amongst this, like what appears to be like a living room and a bedroom. And I can tell it belonged to like a man who liked music, and the people around me were like, they were walking around and they were like, excuse me, they were hoping to like find help or like hope or something to rescue them from what they were actually facing and going through. Like, these people were yearning to go back to this time period which no longer exists. And so I think that's where my dream ended, and I started to walk away out of that. But it was like, right now I just remember another part where, like, as I think before we started walking to the container of the cargo, it was like a green cargo container, like those ones. We were going, it was like every man for themselves, and it reminds me of the TV show The Walking Dead. This is before I realized that most if not all of the TV shows are, demonic, and they all have like seeds of fear and like death and also like demonic evil things for us to think it's okay as we watch it. But particularly in that show, when I watched it, it's like a group of people, like they're walking with each other, they have guns, it's almost like they're together, but every man for themselves in a way. But it was like there was darkness in these tunnels, and it's like spiritually I understand that the darkness means that it means like people are in the dark, like people are in darkness, there's darkness, but the only light that I saw was coming from the center of that building, which was coming from the sky, from God. And so that's where my dream ends. But it's really fascinating. It's very beautiful and fascinating how, like, God let me make out the people while they were like, I could still see them physically moving while they were in darkness. And so after asking God for very much guidance, and Lord, like, God, tell me what this dream, what this dream means. I understand that was a dream from Him that was that is prophesying about what is to come. And I'm not trying to scare people at all. If anything, I want to, understand that God warns His people through dreams, through people, that what is to come, so we're not taken by surprise. That's not God's plan for us. Like, I know it's hard. It's been hard for me to read the Bible and, like, start to understand and, like, trust God, and to let go that we're not here on earth forever. And this is not our place to be, or to be, like, completely 100%, feel like this is our home. Because it is hard, like, I guess in ways, like, this is all that we've known, but God has something so much better for us, and that's in heaven. So I wanted to do God's will and do this, that God has given me this dream and put it on YouTube. um I personally, like I'm very thankful that, God has blessed me to give me these dreams to come on here. But I'm kind of a, like, hey, like, I guess it's like no longer my life, like I'm doing God's will, because I'm like, I tend to be private with my life and so on. So this is the dream that God gave me, and I, like, with everything, not just my dreams, not and with everything we hear, ask God, seek God's face, like seek God in everything that you hear and listen. We are 100% in dark times. We are in times of deception, and I realized that, deception is growing and growing and growing. And if you are, if you stay with God, and if you talk to God, if you have a relationship with God, and very most importantly, this goes to myself as well, if you seek God while you read the Bible, you will be filled with wisdom and understanding, and the oil and the light to have discernment of what is actually of God and what isn't. Because from what I'm seeing on TV, what I'm seeing, like what's going on with Charlie Kirk, how Candace Owen is taking things, and it's like people are deceived, like I 100% believe that Charlie's death was to separate, was separation. No, I'm sorry. Was the beginning of a civil war. That, like, to me, that was my understanding, that the civil war is very soon to come, and then that God is dividing the tares from the wheat. So we have to be very careful, because there's many people saying, like, they're Christian, but do they really know God? Do their actions match their words? Because anybody can just say, I'm Christian, and just, like, we believe it, because yeah, it's awesome to see other people become, like, get saved and come to Christ. But but the devil uses that, like, like, if we're not, like, 100% judging people, like, it's okay to, I'm not talking about, like, breaking them down, but I'm talking about testing, judging the fruits of people. And like, so we have to be very careful. And I'm saying, don't take my word. Just, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm confusing you. What I'm saying is, like, seek God and ask God if what I'm saying is true, if this is from him. You can never ask too many questions to God, and you cannot never ask too many questions for verification. I think of Gideon, when he asked God about if it was him, that the angel had came and told him that he would go to war, that God was going to use him to go to war. He asked him, I want to say maybe like maybe like 2 to 3 times to get the fur of the animal skin wet and then dry, and then the grass be wet, but the fur of the skin wet, and then the fur wet and the grass dry. So I say that, and I see this in my life. So I'm going to encourage whoever you are to seek God, because it's been only God and God sending the right people in my life to guide me, because I can't do this all by myself. We are not to do this all by ourselves. We're here to help one another, and also to be used by God. So 100% seek God in everything and all that you do. I want to give, like, I'm just gonna share a little bit. I've had more dreams. I've had dreams that I've also asked God about, because this is serious. I don't want to deceive people and come on here and yeah, these are dreams that have like a message to it, but I I don't want to like draw like the wrong attention to myself. I know that we all make mistakes, but at the same time, you know, like it's still God. I don't want to deceive people nor, you know, scare people to that degree by my dreams if they are not from God. So I want to say God bless you, and I pray the best for you. And you know, despite of what everything is happening, which is very sad and it can bring you down, it has brought me down. I've come to, you know, I've stopped watching like videos that kind of, you know, like give me the idea of like the evils that are on earth, you know, just, you know, the deception. um you know, I asked God, and he guided me to watch Mr. Our elder, because he's passed away, the pastor David Wilkerson. I almost forgot to mention this. Please listen to him. Oh my goodness, what like he wrote a book back in 1973, and I just listened to the audio a couple weeks ago where he was sharing about the messages and visions that God gave him about the times that would come. And oh my goodness, all that Pastor David Wilkerson has said is like, has come to pass, and it's gonna come to pass. Like, so much more things are going to happen. But you know, one of the messages that he says is that God is still in control. God is still in control of everything. And, you know, like, we can't change things. Like, we really can't stop it. We are not here to stop what's coming, but we are here to just prepare ourselves for the time of our, you know, for us to be called home. I mean, I think that's, and also sharing the gospel and other things that I may be missing out, but those are the things that we have control of, and that I want to give you, you know, I want to show you that is possible, and, you know, have hope and trust in God. And my time is ending because of my recording, so I want to say God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful night, day, and new year, and God bless you, and stay firm in God, because God will never fail us. God bless you. Take care. Bye.